Hi again, it's Laura at Hyperstamper. Here is my second August junk journal for Christmas. I love making these so much. And as I promised, I'd do 2 a month. So this is the second one. And I used an antique book cover from the 1800s. It was just plain red. And as you can see, when I received it, it had been torn apart. So I left that binding there because I really love the texture of it and the fabric because it's 120 years old and it's awesome. And I put it on top of a second antique book, The Diary of Samuel Pepys, and I attached this beautiful 1906 postcard. Look at how beautiful this is with the silver embossing. Look at that Santa, and he has a clay pipe, which is amazing. They stopped making those in the about the 1920s, and we've got the little baby there with this beautiful. It's just fabulous. I love it. They're on a bell with holly. They've just jammed every single kind of Christmas thing in here that they could. It's spectacular. I love it. I added some ribbons to match that postcard and some trim. And let's go look inside before I put it in my Etsy shop. This is one of the best postcards I've ever received, and this one came from Paige, and it's actually a card postcard. Actually, I guess it's more of a card than a postcard, but you can send it like this. And there's a beautiful letter inside of it. This is early 1900s as well, and what is likely is that it came like this, or it could have even come in a kit where somebody would have made that themselves. But look at how beautiful that is. Joyeux Noël. It is French, and it is fabulous. I love it. And it's a beautiful piece. It has value. There's actually quite a few things in here that have some actual value. So by the time you pay for the journal, which is, ridiculously inexpensive, like 65 US, probably all the things inside pay for it. So this is just a really fun piece from 1947 showing the fashions from the 1840s. And that is a beautiful lady there with a nice winter coat on and her winter hat. So I just love that for winter. I've got a Victorian Santa down here that I stamped, and this is, I pulled from a 1927 catalog from the gloves page, because we need gloves in winter, and these are women's stylish silk gloves. Wow. And then in here, I just pulled these because they're burgundy and green for Christmas. And those are old probe cards from the mid-60s. And then this here came from a vintage book. The story is Like the Christmas Promise, and I just really liked the images on there. This is from an antique book, and that is a plate all on its own, and that is this gentleman glazing vacantly upon Jerusalem. That's quite old and lovely. This is a vintage song sheet here, and this is a 1947 photograph here. You can see the little boy here getting a present from maybe his dad there, and the Christmas tree in the background. It's wonderful. I bet you that's a book. You can tell by the shape. And then this is a vintage Trees of America book. We've got, of course, you have to have some pine cones, right? And this here, cheesy old photograph, you can tell instantly it is from the 50s, and that is from the Christmas Ideal book. You'll see a few more pieces from that book in here. And then this here is a great receipt from the 70s, so it is also vintage, and it's because it's the number 25 for Christmas Day. And we've got to have penguins at Christmas, so I made a side pocket here. And here's another one of these ideals pieces. And this would have been how to order a subscription for this and other kinds. We've got homespun, Christmas, all kinds of fun things in there. Yeah, so that's just a really fun piece. You can have a lot of fun using that in your clusters or your mixed media, or just enjoy it the way it is. This is an early 1900s plate as well, simply titled Winter. And it's beautiful snow scene there, so lots of journaling opportunities there as well. And this is a story by Charles Dickens here. Of course, the old God bless us, said Tiny Tim. God bless us, everyone. Classic, right? And that came from the 1930s children's book. Got a Christmas Story One Night in Bethlehem here from an antique book. I've got vintage Christmas seals, and that is from 1968. And this is a vintage collector's card. We've got the deers in the snow there, and that was from the Red Rose Tea Company, and you would have collected those every time you got a box of tea. And here is a story about the snow bear, and that is from the 1920s. And on the back is another one of these beautiful dragon stories, which again are they're hard to find. So I didn't want to cover it, just in case somebody found that very interesting as well. But really fun little piece there. And that's all on an antique book page called A Merry Christmas. And that is from the book Little Women. Here is another spectacular postcard, also has great value. And this one, it almost looks like it's a hand-painted Christmas scene. And I almost wonder if it is, because I'm looking at how the paint was laid and the ink was laid. I think parts of it were hand-painted with this beautiful embossed and gold gilt New Year's wishes down at the bottom. And you can see here that this is early 1900s as well. And it's got the old postcard and a wonderful Christmas message in there. So just lovely. I stamped that. And this is another Christmas Ideals page here. We'll see more of that in a sec. Great little poems there for the new year. And then this is 1950s wrapping paper. And one of Stacy's Maple Grove dairy receipts. And again, that one is for Christmas Eve on the 24th. And you leave milk out on the 24th for Santa. So we've got homogenized chocolate and skimmed there, and half and half. This is just a hilarious little story also from the 1920s or earlier, I forget, The Candy Boy. And that's just a fun little story about Santa Claus and the Candy Boy. And I stamped that sled on that piece of paper there. And then this is The Friendly Beast, another Christmas story here. You'll see more of that on the other side. And this came from a children's exercise book that is vintage, I believe from the 50s. And it's lots of fun little snow scenes there. And then I've got Monopoly Money also, the 25th. And green and red. We're calling that red. It's really pink, but we're going to cheat. And you can journal on the back of those. And then I made a little upward pocket here, and then these are the 1960s or 70s original stickers for Christmas that my sister gave me, and I divided them up so that every junk journal I make this year can have some. And this is a wonderful, wonderful Birds of America book, and you can see it's still got the little tab there on it for the Finches page. And cardinal, that's the one when I come across cardinals, they always go into my Christmas books. And look at those gorgeous finches on the other side too. I love finches. Big fan, big fan. I have them in my backyard quite often. There's another Christmas story here and more of those Christmas seals. It's a beautiful piece of doily here. You can't see how beautiful it is, but it's gorgeous. It's double layered and spectacular. And look at this, in 1932, see the date on there? December 21st, sent to Illinois from somebody in Milwaukee. And what I like about it is inside, look at the back. Look at these gorgeous Christmas seals from 1932. I didn't realize they had been around that long. That's very impressive. But inside here is this beautiful card. And the little signature down there from Ethel and Fred, which, hello, Ethel and Fred were from I Love Lucy. So maybe this is them. That'd be awesome. So I think that's a really special piece there. This is a great little Christmas card that came out of that scrapbook I found in the East Coast. And you can open it up there and journal inside, but it's just wonderful. They put so much detail into the inside of their cards and the outside. Look at that. There's embossing around the edges. It says greetings. It's just lovely. And this here is from the 1890s. You've got the children there skating on the pond. I know it's really worn, but I love that about it. Look, it just barely made it through. And then this colored piece on the other side, which is quite rare for that time period, the Victorian era. More vintage wrapping paper, and then this is just a cute little story about the Christmas elves. And this is a beautiful poem about snowflakes from an antique book. Another piece of vintage wrapping paper, another vintage Christmas story here, a little toy store. And then the little blue dishes, another Christmas story. These are all from early. These ones here are from the 30s. I stamped the skates up there, and then this is a lovely plate from a book called Bible Stories. So we've got a beautiful verse here, and then on the other side, you can see that gorgeous image there. Isn't that lovely? A lantern here. I'm telling you, this is another great Christmas card. Look at this one, the inside here. This one is from Ellsworth and Winifred. Oh my God, what a great name, Ellsworth. Honestly, I've never heard that for a gentleman, Ellsworth. I kind of like that. I want to rename one of my grown men kids. Ellsworth. Yeah, so that's great. And then this is another, just a pretty little piece from a vintage book, and with that poem on snowflakes as well. Lots of snowflake poems in this one. And here's another piece from that Ideals Christmas book from the 50s, and that is another advertisement for, they're trying to sell this magazine, let me tell you. Isn't that great? I actually have that one as well, and I've used it many times, the images in it. So just a fun little red and green piece of pattern paper. And this here is from an early 1900s book, A Weird Christmas Gift. I thought that was hilarious, a weird Christmas gift. And I put some antique paper on the back for journaling. And this is the actual spine of this book that I'm using for this junk journal. And this here is from a children's coloring book that was never colored in. So we've got double sides there. So maybe you know a little child who could color that in, and they would be thrilled to color a piece inside your journal. And here is another wonderful message here. I don't know what you would call that. A Christmas message, let's call it that. Another wonderful piece of red and green Christmas colored vintage pattern paper, tissue. That's just a wonderful little piece of a vintage song. And then this one here came out of that scrapbook. You can see I tried to pull them apart. I could tell I was going to ruin it if I did. So I decided to leave it on the board, which meant that you also get this wonderful, look at that, look at the embossing on there. You get this wonderful Santa on the other side. I was gonna try to make him the cover of a journal. Look at the holly in his hat. But just this, whoever gets this journal is lucky enough to have these two. So that's something, but there's so many postcards and cards in here. It's just nutty. Maybe I did too many. Too late. There's another one of those beautiful 1950s Ideals pieces with actual sparkle in the paper. It just blows my mind that they did that 70 years ago. Another vintage story here, Home for Christmas. Christmas gift pulled from the top of a Christmas book. More pattern paper. And there is more of that Christmas story there. And that brings us to the end. I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. Oh, some of these stamps fell out. I'm going to pop them back into a pocket. More vintage Christmas seals. And you can find this at hyperstamper.etsy.com. Subscribe so you can be the first to see them. And I'll see you soon. Bye for now.